Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So in this video I'm going to teach you how to use Flexbox in CSS. So let's get started. Before I start, I would like to show you the HTML code. So you see right here I have a div and I have given it the class of container. Inside of that container I have three divs. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Alright, and each one of them has a unique class name. You can have more items, for example, instead of saying divs, you can have images or paragraphs, whatever content you have. But I will use divs just to keep it simple. And before I do anything, I would like to add the outline to my web page. So I'm going to add this asterisk and I'm going to open the curly braces. So I'm going to say outline, colon, let's see, 2 pixels, solid black. Okay, so we have an outline there. There are some properties that you can use on the div container. So for example, you see this is the div that contains all of our items. So we are going to select that class by typing in dot container and open 2 curly braces. Alright, so inside of the curly braces, we are going to say display flex. So when you say display flex, is going to simply set your items next to each other. So you see your items will sit next to each other. So there is a property that says justify dash content. So justify dash content, and you can say, for example, by default it's on flex start. So now you see our items are aligned to the beginning by default, but if I want to push my items to the right side of my container, I could say flex dash end, and when you do that, it will just push your items to the end of that div. Now there are a couple of more. I can say space around. So when you say space around, it's going to add a space around each item, all right? So you see, or I can say space between. So it will add a space between each of them, but you see, this one will stay at the very left and one will be in the middle and one at the very right. Or I can say, for example, space evenly. Space evenly looks like this, all right? So there are some spaces between them, but it will basically keep them even, all right? So it will keep the spaces even. And now we are going to say, for example, center, basically. I just want them to be next to each other and center. So just for the sake of this example, I'm going to say space around. So I'm going to say justify content space around. All right. So we will it will make more sense now if I show you the examples. And there is a property that is used to wrap the items or not. For example, now if I shrink my screen, if I reach this space, so let me just add more content to my divs. So I'm going to add some text that doesn't make sense. All right. So let me just add some text that doesn't make sense. So you see now, when I make it smaller, the content overflows my container. So to fix this, all right, what you do is you say, for example, flex dash wrap. So there is this property that you use, flex wrap. So by default is no wrap, all right? So now it doesn't wrap. But if I say flex wrap, if I change it to wrap, it's going to change. It's going to push the next item underneath it. So now you see it becomes column instead of a row. But you see, as I make it grow, it's going to grow and grow, all right? So this is basically it about making it wrap. So it's up to you if you want it to wrap or not. Now we are going to talk about the flex direction. So there is a flex direction that I want to show you. So I'm going to get rid of the wrap, all right? And I'm going to remove the content or the text from here. Okay, so now let's go to the container again. Inside of the container, I can use this property called flex-direction. So now by default it's a row. So you see it shows you one row. But if you, let's say that you want to show a column, so you can say column basically. All right, so you see it says 1, 2, 3. Now we are back to the stacked version. All right, so now our divs are stacked, or our items are stacked. If I change it to row, now it will be a row, so one row. If I want to reverse it, so for example 3 to 1, I can say row dash reverse. So now you see I have 3 to 1. Or I can do a column reverse as well. So column dash reverse. So now you see we have a column. So let me make that reverse. So now we have 3 to 1. All right. So this is basically how you use the flex direction. And there is a shorthand to use the wrap and the direction in one line. And I'm going to show it to you now. So it's called a flex flow. So for example, if I say flex dash wrap now, if I say wrap, okay. So I have a flex direction and I have flex wrap. So there is a shorthand property that you can use instead of flex direction and flex dash wrap. And this one is called flex dash flow. All right, so flex flow, and then you say, for example, so I'll make a column and then wrap. All right, so now I don't need these two. So you see, instead of saying flex direction and flex wrap, I can only use flex flow. So let me change it to a row. So flex flow row wrap. So now instead of saying flex direction and then flex wrap, it's up to you, but this is a shorthand version of these two. All right, so this is, so the flex dash flow is equivalent to flex direction and flex wrap. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these now. Okay, awesome. There are some other properties that you can use with items. For example, let me select my items real quick here. So 1, 2, let me select my items. So dot 2 and dot 3. Okay, so I have my items there. Now let me just add a background color to them. So, all right, so you see I have 3 items there. Now let's say that I want number 1 to take all of the empty space. So you see there's some empty space. I can use something called flex-grow. So flex-grow, all right? So with this property, you'll be able to tell the browser how that item should grow. For example, if I change it to 0, it will not grow at all. All right, so by default, they are all set to 0. All right, so by default, if you place it or not, the flex grow is always 0. And they will grow based on the content. However, let's say that there is some empty space and we want to fill that in. I can say, for example, flex-grow, and I can change this one to number 1. And you see this one will take a lot more empty space than the other ones. However, if you want to make number 2 a little bigger, you can add number 2 here. All right, and I'm going to change this one to 1. So you see now as I grow it, the middle one will grow more, and these ones will grow less. So these are like proportions basically, all right, or a ratio, all right. So yeah, this is it about flex grow. So this is how you give more empty space, all right. For example, if I change number 2 to 3, I give it 3, flex grow of 3. When I grow it, it's going to grow even more. So now let me add some content here to show you the shrink. So the shrink, you'll not see it unless you have a lot of content. All right. Okay, and you see I'm gonna get rid of the flex flow here because I just want to show it to you. Okay, so you see now they overflow. So I have a lot of content, and as I shrink it, they will overflow. So now let's say that we want to shrink. So I'm going to shrink this one, the number 1. So I'm going to say flex dash shrink. By default, it's 1, all right? So by default, it's 1. So all of them have the flex shrink set to 1. All right, it's always there. If you don't place it or not, it's always flex dash shrink 1. And now I'm going to say, let's say I want to give more shrink to number 1. So I can say, for example, 3 or 4. So you see, this one is more shrunk than these ones. All right. So let me add more shrink to the middle one. So I can say, for example, 5. So now this one has shrunk more, all right? So this one has shrunk even more than this one. And it's up to you. So you see they're already shrunk. And even when I just make them smaller, you see at some point they will overflow. So it's a good idea to use flex wrap to fix this problem. So you see, instead of saying, I can say flex dash flow again. So row and then wrap. So now you see it will just keep it responsive and it will wrap it. So this is basically it about the most important properties of Flexbox. And in the next video, I will talk about changing the display if you don't want to flow. If you don't want to use the wrap, I'll show you how to make it responsive. And I know it's responsive now, but at some point you might want to change the display. Don't forget to like the video, everyone. I hope that this video was not too complicated. So there is another property. It's called flex-basis. So this one can be used to set the initial width of an item. So for example, I can say 100 pixels for this one and this one too. And you see, I have set them to 100 pixels. But you see, I'm using the flex shrink and grow here. So if I get rid of them, if I get rid of the flex and grow, you'll notice that they will be 100 pixels. So this one, you see, this one is not 100 pixels. That's why it came down here. So I give all of them 100 pixels width, and they will be 100 pixels of width. All right. So this is how you basically set the initial value of the width of an item. Flex basis, and you say 100%. All right. So this is another property that we just learned how to use, but I don't like this property, flex basis, because I don't want to set to I don't want to set it. And now you see when I reach this one will be pushed down because I'm saying wrap. I'm using wrap. If I don't use wrap here, you see they will become not responsive or unresponsive. So now you see that it's unresponsive. You see the text overflows and my layout doesn't change. So always make sure that you say flex-flow, and I can say, for example, wrap. So it will wrap it. All right. So this is how you basically use the flex bases, everyone. There is one that you can change the order of them. For example, I can bring this two over here. So I can add order to this one. So order, I can say 1. All right, so it will be 1. You see, when I change it to 1, this one will go here. Without it, it's right here. But if I change the order, let's say that I add the order to all of them. All right, so let's say that I have the order to all of them. When you have 1 applied to them, they'll be not changed. But let's say that I want this one to be the first one, and this one I want it to be the second one. So I want this one to be here. So I can change the order of this one to 2. All right. So you see, when I change it to 2, it goes here. Okay. So this one, I can change the order. Let's say I want this one to appear in the second. So I'm going to say 2, and then this one will be 1, and this one will be 3. So you see, we have changed the order. So this is another property that we learned how. So with this way you'll be able to order, all right, without touching the HTML. Yeah, so this is it for this video, everybody. And there is one more property that I'll show you just before I go. I just want to make sure. So I'm gonna get rid of the long text. All right, so right here I need to have some text. So 1 and 2 and 3. So this was 2. So this is 2 and this is 3. All right, so I have my 3 items there. Let's say that I have some height applied to a container. So you see now my items are centered from the left and the right, but in the middle, if let's say that you want to center them from the top and the bottom, so you can use align-items and you can say center. So when you do this, your items will be centered from the top and the bottom. All right, so you see it has moved them here, or as we learned at the beginning, you can say flex start. If you say flex start, it's going to I said flex end now. So you see it says flex end, it moves them to the end of that container. If you say flex start, it's going to place them at the top of that container. So I hope you liked the video, everyone. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And thank you all for watching my videos, and I appreciate your support, everybody. So I'll see you all in the next videos.